all have a purpose, something that we feel on the inside of us that we should be pursuing, you know. And for me, I think I'm at my happy place when I share knowledge with someone. I think it must be, maybe perhaps I've got the gift of teaching, because people do say that when I talk about certain subjects, I simplify them.
You simplify. I've seen that too.
Yeah, so I take complicated subjects within the business, property, fraternity, and then simplify them for the everyday person to understand. I'll give you an example. One of my best testimonies that I've had, I've had hundreds of testimonies, if not thousands, right? But one of my best is this lady. We're still in talks now. I'm not going to mention her name, but she works for the municipality, City of Joburg. So, long story short, during COVID, she contacts me and says to me that, "Witness, I didn't know that I could afford a property with an 8,000 rand salary. You know, I didn't know that I could also be considered by the bank if I just try my luck. So I read your book. I've bought a property, and I've read your book, and I've rented out this property. I'm continuing to stay at home with my parents and my kids, but my property is now rented out." Right? And then she writes to me again a year later.
Yeah.
And she says to me, "I've managed to save over 60,000 rands.
Wow.
And I want to buy my second property. You know, I just want to thank you for what you've done for me." Then she says she buys a second property, right? Couple of months later, I don't know if it was a year, she writes to me again. She shows me, she sends me pictures of a house she's building now at the village where she comes from. And she says to me, "Now I've learned to start even if I don't have the full amount of money. I'm going to figure out how to finish a house that I'm building for my kids. I never thought I'd build my kids a house. Let alone the fact that I've got properties that I've now rented out that are giving me income." This year, when we had the pop-up store at Mall of Africa, when we were doing the podcast, she came dressed in black, looking super good, eh? And then she comes to me, we start chatting, and she's like, "You know, at work now, people borrow money from me. So it's now a business that I have at work where even managers and executives are coming to me. People who drive bigger cars. I don't have a car. People who drive big cars, they come to me as their mashonesa. And I lend them money. Loan shark.
That's a side hustle now.
She's now a loan shark at work. People are borrowing money from her. So I look at that lady and I'm like, you know, sometimes you might think you are just sharing content. You might think you are just writing a book. But literally, you are changing someone's life and perspective. And perhaps generations after her will do things differently because she did things differently. I mean, she thought of herself as what? Just a cleaner. But it turns out she's not just a cleaner. Now she's somebody who could invest in property, continue to work, enjoy a better, fulfilling life because she's fulfilling some things that give fulfillment. Once you do a project, coach, and you finish it, the level of fulfillment becomes different for you. You're not the same guy. I can tell you that when a guy says he's unhappy most of the time, when we check, that guy has not had projects in his personal or business life that he can conquer and get the fulfillment that comes from doing things excellently. Right? So I look at that lady, I'm like, wow, her fulfillment now is in the fact that she's got properties that she invested in. She saw herself making that sacrifice. Remember, no one was holding her hand. She read a book, she read posts. But the action taking, that she did all on her own. So the level of fulfillment that I can just perceive and imagine, and the level of happiness that was in her eyes when she saw me for the first time and narrating these stories. And it's funny, the minute she said, it's so and so, I knew exactly who this lady was because I had read her testimonies quite a few times. So for me, that's where the fulfillment also for me comes from. Because when I look at the lady, I'm like, that's my project. I'm like, what? No, she did that. But I inspired all of that
inspired
to
all of
happen.
that.
Wow.
No, man.
God, I'm privileged.
It's the life that you chose to live. You're doing God's work. You're well within ministry. This is ministry.
So that's where the happiness for me, honestly, comes from. Yeah, comes from. I think yes, money can be one of the things, right, that form part of wealth.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It is one of the things that form part of wealth. But to pursue some kind of work and pursue it excellently, that's you producing wealth for yourself. When you do this work that you are doing now,
Yeah.
you are doing interviews, you're building a channel, you're building a platform.
Yeah.
The level of fulfillment that you're going to get when people meet you on the streets and say, my business life changed ever since I came across your channel. People in other countries where they see you and they come to you and say, you changed my life. No amount of money can buy that. But other than that, that becomes a vocation that puts you at a level where you're going to continue to earn because you chose to do something and do it excellently.
That's true, because I've been getting DMs from other countries and I'm thinking, I didn't even know people listen to us.
Of course they do. Remember one thing.
No, you might conceptually know that it probably happens, but when it happens to you, it's a fresh feeling.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
So there's people outside of Africa that are listening.
Of course. So someone might be listening now. They don't have a channel. They don't have a podcast. They don't have a book like you and I do.
Yeah.
It's more than just money. Welcome to Financial Freedom. They might not have those books. However, they've got their jobs that they go to every single day. What's their level of excellence? Because your level of performance and excellence speaks to who you are as a person. You're not doing that for your boss. You're doing it for yourself. How much can you challenge yourself?
The standards you've set for yourself.
What standards have you set for yourself? So for me, it's always been about that from an early age. Well, as soon as I got in the understanding, right, to say, am I proud of the person I'm becoming because of the work that I'm doing? When you make your first million, for instance,
Yeah.
you'll never be the same. Never. I'm not saying when you win it or when you get it from somewhere